I have only missed a handful of Missouri State Fairs in my lifetime. Those experiences, many taking place right here, have molded me into who I am today. I believe that people are the heart of the fair, and agriculture brings us all together. Today we're here to learn about the Missouri State Fair Foundation and its goals of education, preservation, and improvements. Rusty, I know that you've spent many years at the Missouri State Fair. How did you get started?
Well, the many years part, I don't like hearing.
Sorry.
Yeah, the age has creeped up on me. Actually, it was chasing a girl that ended up being my wife. In '77 was the first fair I was at. My wife's first fair was '63, and it just has continued a family tradition. I taught ag for 32 years, and in our ag program, both at Nottoway Holt and Chillicothe, we had a lot of students participate in the Missouri State Fair, so we've spent years down here in the campground taking care of other people's children and all four of my children.
We're standing in front of the swine barn. You spent many, many years here. Let's start there and talk about some of the recent updates and what you're holding in.
Okay, yes, the recent updates to the swine barn started with somebody's vision 4 or 5 years ago at this point to do some upgrades and modernize it. I mean, there was nothing wrong with the tradition that was there, and it didn't mean we couldn't have a state fair hog show, but it made it so much better whenever we made those upgrades and changes, the electrical, the bleachers, changing pins. Yes, and the bleachers.
That may be the most memorable part was, you know, almost 100-year-old bleachers. The building was built in 1922.
Yes.
And talk about raising money. How did this idea of repurposing and cultivating these benches to be auctioned off for people to give back?
Well, just a local gentleman here at Sedalia come up with the idea and went and dug the bleacher boards out of the junk, out of the trash, because they were gone. And he decided to do this. I don't remember the high on these, but I know I sat and watched him bring over $5,000.
Well, I think I heard that collectively over $100,000 was raised for the foundation. Well, what a testament to folks wanting to give back. And so as we travel throughout the rest of the fairgrounds, everywhere you go, you see updates. Take me through some of the other big things that have happened in the past couple of years.
Okay, the wash rack.
First ever heated wash rack.
That is true, here on the barn.
Maybe more to come?
Oh, yes, yes. Let's hope so, because the goal, I think you know, that we redid the inside of the cattle barns this year, and the foundation was very instrumental in helping
work
that.
Electricity.
Yeah, and the electricity. And the goal of that, the real goal, the future goal, is to try to bring more livestock exhibitors back to our fair and use this fairgrounds more than these 11 days.
Now, the other thing that I'm pretty excited about is the mulch. The sand that had been in all of the beef cattle and dairy cattle barns had been there a long time. What does it mean to have over 20 years? What does it mean to now have mulch, and what does it mean to those exhibitors?
Exhibitors, of course, love it because they use it everywhere else. They use it at home. They're not dragging sand back in their show boxes and tearing up their motors. And the fact that it's really better to have this kind of surface on cattle when they spend this many days here rather than that sand that's virtually packed like concrete.
Well, one of the newest construction projects is happened right over here, and that's the new sheep pavilion. Yeah. When we were pulling up, I said, how much square footage was added? And you said none. But it looks bigger, it looks more open. We've got new electricity, like in the other places, fans, pens. What value does that bring to the sheep and goat producers?
Well, I think that value will be endless. And again, with the idea with the new look on the facility, because the foundation itself worked on the electricity inside the building. That had been upgraded. The pens had been upgraded and needed to be upgraded tremendously. Well, that ended up, in my mind, developing a little bit of an excitement. With that excitement and Governor Parsons' willingness to enjoy the state fair, we were able to get the state to help fund these other projects in there, which included the fans, the new steel extent. Yes, that public-private partnership in today's world is important, and unfortunately, I think going forward in the next 2 or 3 years, I'm a member of the legislature and on the budget committee. I think it's going to be important to show that people want to buy in and help, because the state's maybe a little strapped for money after this COVID thing.
I'm pretty confident that most Missourians across the state have heard of the Missouri State Fair, but many probably don't think about all the behind the scenes work, and part of that is the Missouri State Fair Foundation. Tell me about it and its overall purpose.
The goal of the foundation really was to be the resource development side of the fair. The fair does not receive general revenue funds any longer, and so they do a really good job of keeping up with the day-to-day operations, but in terms of being able to preserve, we have 64 buildings and structures on the National Historical Register that have to be preserved, and then improvements in education.
And I think I heard that few fairs across the country are still historically what we see here in Missouri, so it's pretty unique.
It is very unique. We were one of 5 fairs.
Wow.
Yes.
So let's talk about the foundation members that make all of this possible. Who are your members? Your job is relationship building.
It is, yes. The majority of our membership is exhibitor-based, so they're exhibitor families. We also have great support from the ag business community and the Sedalia business community and area residents.
Talk about the economic impact that the state fair brings, and then even touching on the lack of it in 2020.
Yes, not having the Missouri State Fair has had a devastating impact on the local community, but not just these 11 days. There's hardly a day that goes by that there is not an event on the fairgrounds, and so like the Midwest Stud Ram Show that normally happens at the end of June, that's a $2 million economic impact in just
to the community
in just a week.
So moving into 2020 and how things have changed for the foundation.
Yes.
None of us are living a normal year,
Right.
And so how has your job changed? How has leading the foundation forward changed?
It's been very humbling that in a year where a lot of organizations are faced with giving refunds, whether it's refunds for fair sponsorship or refunds for a million other events that didn't happen, our members have been tremendously loyal, and not a single one out of 400 has asked for a refund on their membership. So that's been great. You've really been able to see that people aren't just contributing because they're getting something back. They're contributing because they're investing in the future.
And we're standing on top of the Coliseum, the historic Coliseum, where I've led heifer after heifer in and out of this in the show ring, and so many other people across the state have done the same thing. But what is taking place here this weekend in replace of the bigger fair, the traditional fair that we're used to?
Lots of people have complained about us not having the regular fair, and my standard response is the most important part.
They're here, and that's the youth.
Yep.
And so junior livestock exhibitors from across the state are here this weekend, and they are getting to showcase and this be their Super Bowl for their summer, and being honored and showcased and given back. And one of the things I know that's new this year is the first year exhibitor grants.
Yes.
Tell me about that and how that came to fruition.
So at our gala last year, that was our first year to do our Fund the Need, was first time livestock exhibitor grants. We knew that it's really expensive for a family to come here for 11 days, and it prohibits especially our outlying areas away from counties, away from Sedalia to be able to come. And so we used the funds, $11,500, to award 32 grants.
And where maybe the most important thing we talk about today is where can people go to learn more about the preservation, the education, and what you guys are doing here at the foundation for future Missouri State Fairs?
Sure. Our Facebook is a great way to keep in touch with what we're doing and be up to date on what our next project is going to be. We've had a lot of people following the first time livestock exhibitor grants on Facebook, and
I've enjoyed those personally.
It's been fun. And then our website is mostatefairfoundation.net, and so that's another good way.